Welcome everyone to another edition of Moya Talks. We have Francesca Francis with us. Francesca, we always start these interviews learning a little bit about our guest background. So could you
Perfect.
please introduce yourself?
Yes. So again, I'm Francesca Franchi. I am from Peru. I studied architecture at the Ricardo Palma University in Lima. And then I did a master's in Cornell, and I stayed working in New York for 15 years. I worked for FX Collaborative, a firm that does high-rise buildings in Manhattan, and also I did a lot of work in Asia, in China, in Seoul. I explored a lot that market, and then I relocated to DC, and I worked for 20 years ago. 20 years ago, and I worked with Leo A. Daily by Blinder Bell. And now I'm working for Michael Winstanley, which is a small office in Old Town. I met Michael many years ago, so we're very, very good friends. I've always been involved in high-rise projects. I worked on Central Place in Roslyn, and as well, always connected to Asia, to China. I recently did a very, very large project, 5.2 million square feet of academic work in a border town between China and Mongolia. That was a COVID project that happened. But parallel to that, I'm part of the DCAIA Design Excellence Committee. And before COVID, my passion was always to promote the work specifically of South America. And I tried to bring four great architects from Peru so that they would show the work here at the AIA, but COVID came and it got complicated. And now after COVID, I thought, well, maybe we don't have to bring the architects. We can just do a Zoom event.
And that's the series that you're curating, right? The 4x4.
Yes, the 4x4. Yeah. So that thought transformed into something where it could be a Zoom event and it can be an in-person event. So we are starting with Argentina, following with Peru, Chile, and Brazil. It's going to be the first series every 6 months. And we're filming the work always of women architects. And then I'm knocking the door of the embassies so that they open their doors and we do an in-person event there. So I'm very, very excited about this. I contacted Paola, and that's how I came to join these conversations.
Sorry, what inspired you to create 4x4? More particularly, why starting from the south, going north?
Yes. So my thought was, yes, Mexico has amazing architects, Central America, but I feel that it's all very, very linked to the USA, and I felt that the south of South America was sort of being forgotten, and in fact, the first series is called Arquitectas al Sur, right? And what inspired me was the attachment that these women have with very different regions of South America. I mean, I am meeting women that, are analyzing how women in the Amazon jungle of Brazil or Peru are building. And then also the diversity of program. Argentina is talking about these granjas, these farms and how, they transport water. I mean, it's just amazing. Other women have organizations like Un Día Una Arquitecta, where they promote the life of a woman architect all over the world. Every day they post, right? So I didn't know any of this, and it's just a pleasure to discover all this and how women in South America are really becoming very proactive regarding their rights and the way they are seen, right? Brazil is also super, super developed on this. And it's a research that, after this, we can do Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia. I want Paola to speak, in Colombia. I mean, it's just getting a lot of traction, right? But it's the discovery. It's the discovery of this talent that is sort of silent. That's what inspired me.
And what are you expecting to achieve with these talks?
To achieve? Oh, what I'm trying to achieve, yeah. So the two main achievements is, number one, expose and promote the talent. And number two, which is something that I discussed with a cultural attaché of Argentina, is financially also, we are promoting the work of South American countries that are going through very hard times, right? And exposing the work where they can, people in the USA, in Europe, because this is going to be a Zoom event, we can include all the friends I have in Spain can see, and they can, they can hire, so it's both cultural and it's financial. There's two reasons for this.
And you were doing an outreach work to collaborate with the embassies, with the Organization of the American States. How's that going? And when will the first event take place?
Yes. So, everything is always great until money and financials come. I have to ask donors and promote and find the means to do this, which has been a challenge, right? Our first event was supposed to be next Tuesday, but unfortunately, one of them, which is, her mother, she had to fly back. We also always have a moderator, right? We're trying to bring outstanding women in the U.S. or around the DMV area to be the moderator, because this also promotes the South American women in DC and the area, right? So the moderator, in fact, she's from New York, an Argentinian architect that teaches in Colombia, had to fly back. So we had a problem about that. And then the donations are hard, right? And it's a learning experience for me. We're sending letters to ask for donations. So now, we thought that a great start for this would be the amazing OAS, right? Instead of the Argentinian embassy that had some issues in opening their doors, we're starting with the OAS. The event has been postponed for the last week of January. And it's a struggle, right? You have to also be creative regarding getting the sponsorships. It's a learning curve, this is an experiment. It's an experiment. Hopefully, at the end of this first session, the building museum already showed interest. If these first events are successful, they might want to do a show on these 16 architects in 2024 at the building museum, which would be amazing. And then this can go on forever, right? And we can start a second session.
Francesca, you mentioned highlighting the work of Latin American architects working in the U.S. may sound trite, but why is this so important?
Yeah. So again, number one is promoting the work down in South America, and then number two is, Paola is a great example, right? We have these super successful Latin American women working in DC, and we want to share that also, right? So we're trying to link. What is DC, right? DC is international, is a capital. We have the embassies, we have the OAS, the IDB, all these organizations where, I want to connect all these women in all these organizations, all our architect women in the DMV area with, it's a lasso. This is the word, it's something that bonds everybody.
Creating networks. And as a Latin American working in the US, what do you think is the impact, the heritage that Latin Americans are leaving in the urban landscape?
In the urban landscape, right?
Yes.
Number one, I think that our approach is diverse, right? We come from a background that has different temperature, a different culture, different material, right? It's very interesting. When I came from Lima, Lima, summers are 85 degrees, winters are 55 degrees, and there's no air conditioning, there's no heating, and then I'm transported and I'm exposed to New York and understanding these buildings and these systems. But then I carry this sort of naivete, right, of what my culture was bringing, and I think that is always reflected, and how I lived is reflected in a very personal way, even in the corporate world. Even in the corporate world. I mean, the projects, that I did in China, I'm just thinking the projects that Paola does, or, I know Lucrecia Laudi, I have friends at Shalom that are from Argentina. It's this very personal touch that is different and makes that successful. And of course, being women, right? We women see buildings in a different way, right? So let's take advantage. It's the time to really let everybody know about this.
What do you think is the effect of these kind of talks inspiring other Latin American women?
Oh, I just can't wait to start these talks. I mean, the network that we are already creating, even, in between Argentina and Peru, that it's already starting to being planned, is unbelievable. Like, I have, Peruvian amazing architects that studied in Spain, and now we're connecting with Spain. And the idea of being promoted, the idea of doing these films, that the film is going to be an hour, and it's 15 minutes per architect, and for them just having to collect their thoughts and present the work in their own language, because they all speak their own language, and then we're going to translate with words during the film. It's just materializing, right? This, knowing that it's going to be exposed, in the US, and then the connectivity between us is just amazing. I have young architects that can't wait to see the film, and it's becoming, it's growing.
And as you mentioned, it's much more. Sorry, I interrupted you.
The inspiration for the youngest generation is amazing. I mean, one of the
And as you said
panelists of
before,
sorry.
sorry, there's
No,
a small delay.
No. You keep on now.
You mentioned before that it's not only about the architecture itself, it's also about the research,
Yes.
about how architecture and life intertwine.
Yes. I have our approach is out of these 4 architects who are very well established, amazing architects. One is a researcher, and the other one is a young architect, right? So that you can balance. And regarding the research, it's just outstanding. The knowledge that all these, the researcher, architect, the panelists are doing. I have in Peru, it's just amazing. One of them is, I don't know, 35, 36 years old. And she right now is doing a PhD on geology in London, because she really wants to understand what climate is. This architect was at that age, right? Already was the vice minister of housing in Lima. It's just an amazing the knowledge collected, and the very different approach, a very different personal approach that anybody can learn. Like I have, U.S. architects. I have to say the donors have been great and fantastic. Most of them architecture firms. Just, they can't wait to see all this amazing work.
Francisca, I'm going to open the floor so the staff can ask you questions.
Yeah.
They get a little bit shy.
No shyness.
Federico?
I have a quick question. How do you select these architects that you're going to highlight in this first? What is your process on what do you wait when you're trying to pick whoever it is that you pick?
Yes. Good. So we have a committee, right? I started all this with a dear friend that I met from Argentina. And really all this started with a glass of wine of a nice Malbec. And she told me about all the efforts that Argentina was doing. And I told her about all these dreams that I had. So we have a committee. And what we did is for Argentina, it was sort of easy because she had a list of the top architects, and that's when we decided to give categories, right? We just don't want to show beautiful projects of that are sort of similar in a way, right? But the idea of research and the idea of young, motivated women, the idea of we find that there's a lot of feminist women super focused on these rights, right? So we gather a list, and funny enough, there are already researchers in South America that have lists per country. Like in Chile, we already have a list that was created. In Brazil, again, Argentina and Brazil are very developed on these women's organizations. They connected us with a great architect in Brazil. So they provided the list. I knew a lot about Peru, and we categorize them, and we do diagrams. Okay, researchers, so and so and so, young architects, and then we just compare the work and decide which would be the best option, or the one that can represent the best, right? So it's a process where there's categories and bubbles, and then we decide to do it. We are learning.
Great question, Fede.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting. I'm from Argentina, by the way, so I'm very excited about it.
Awesome. Do you know Paula Lavarello?
No, I don't know her.
she's my dear friend. Yeah, she's amazing. We met in Cornell many years ago, and that's the way it's just happening.
You have all Latin America represented in the call.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's funny, when we were touring the OAS, there's a technical AV person that there's a lot of logistics of how are we going to do this in person, and then we need the Zoom, and it's a complicated process. And I was speaking with this great technician person there. He's the expert, and I was saying, for example, how much do people know about architects in Paraguay? That is a very small country, right? And he said, yeah, I'm from Paraguay, and many people think that Paraguay is part of Uruguay, right? And I said, well, we are going to get there, and we're going to find, architects there. There's so tiny little countries in the north, near Venezuela. Venezuela is going to be a huge challenge by itself. Let's see how all this, tracks.
It is fascinating. It's fascinating.
One little tip: if you do the event in the OAS, there is a mechanical tunnel under the OAS. That was all painted by Páez Vilaró, which is a great artist, an architect from Uruguay. So passed a long time ago, but so it's a very interesting thing to see.
In fact, I have a movie about that. And our first thought was to the museum of the OAS has this beautiful room called El Patio de los Azulejos. And first we thought about doing it there. But it seems we want 75 to 100 people attending, and we felt it was too tight. So they gave us La Galería de los Héroes, which is this gallery that has all these flags on the
Latin American heroes.
Yes. So we're going to be there next to Bolivar and San Martin and everybody.
It's an interesting mix.
Yes.
The future and the past of Latin America.
Yes. Combined with the talent of women architects. It is. I have to say, it's a big plan. It's a big plan, and we will learn as we go on. In Peru,
it does sound fascinating.
Oh, the other thing, for example, is that the film we're selecting great places to film the architects. For example, in Lima, I'm trying to get a Huaca, pre-Inca ruin as the backdrop for, when the architects talk. So we're trying to, and that's also a way of promoting the different countries. So there are a lot of little details that are going to start showing up as we do this. For Peru, we are planning on the moderator to be Mariela Buendia. She's a principal at Gensler. Patricia Ferrari, Shalom Baronis also. I mean, we're going to start researching. It's
right. We'll be on the. As we talked 2 weeks ago, we are happy to help you with the crossover promotion.
Absolutely. So let me. Unfortunately, we had to delay. Once the date is done, the posters are going out again, and I sent all the information to Paola. Would love to have a conversation with her. I'm sure that she can help with great ideas. And we're also speaking with the international AIA. There is a representative. Some countries of South America have representatives, and they are also very eager to start posting all this as soon as we have a new date.
Thank you, Francesca. It's been a great talk.
Great.
We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
My pleasure.